The economic landscape of China and the United States reveals stark differences, particularly in savings behaviors and consumption patterns. On average, Chinese citizens save over 40% of their income, while Americans save less than 10%. This disparity arises from gaps in healthcare and social security in China, combined with the long-term effects of the one-child policy, which has left many parents reliant on their sole child for support in old age. Consequently, domestic consumption accounts for only 38% of Chinese GDP, whereas it constitutes about 70% in the United States. This presents a critical challenge for China, making the country overly dependent on external trading and infrastructure projects for economic growth. The Chinese government's commitment to maintaining a 5% growth rate escalates the urgency of this situation. To achieve this, there must be increased economic activity, which traditionally relies on domestic spending. However, with such high savings rates, it becomes challenging to stimulate the desired level of spending necessary for growth. As a result, local leaders often resort to infrastructure projects to present the appearance of growth. Over the last 25 years, China has made astonishing investments in infrastructure, tripling the length of its roads and constructing numerous housing units, even developing entire cities in remote areas, some of which are entirely vacant. These so-called ghost cities exemplify China's growth strategy, where the focus is on quantity rather than meaningful urban development. The problem lies in the incentive structure driving these projects. Construction activity boosts GDP numbers, but it does not necessarily indicate real economic progress or improvement in quality of life for citizens. You know, a province leader can easily claim growth just by, adding up the number of buildings and roads constructed, even if nobody's actually using them. This kind of approach creates an illusion of productivity. As Leland Miller from China Beige Book points out, GDP figures can be, artificially inflated through these cyclical construction activities, sometimes even demolishing and rebuilding the same structures. China's current challenge is, honestly, pretty clear. The country is hitting a saturation point where it's just not practical to keep building at the same pace as before. With millions of housing units sitting vacant and some of the biggest construction firms going bankrupt, it's obvious that the path to continued growth can't just depend on putting up more buildings. While exporting goods to the global market offers a potential alternative, demand from other countries for Chinese products has been waning, which, really limits this option's effectiveness. To address these issues, China needs to pivot away from mere infrastructure expansion and focus on stimulating domestic consumption and innovation. This actually necessitates addressing the systemic issues that have led to high savings rates, such as improving social security and healthcare. Without proper adjustments, it will be difficult for China to sustain the expected growth amid rapid economic transformation. In conclusion, the dichotomy between the savings behavior of Chinese citizens and the economic structures in place presents significant challenges for long-term growth in China. As the nation grapples with ghost cities and decreasing external demand, a strategic shift is essential to achieve the sustained economic growth desired by the government. This includes fostering domestic spending, reassessing growth metrics, and addressing social welfare issues to create a more balanced and resilient economy.